In a cave in northern Iraq in 1960, archaeologists found a man. He had been dead for 60,000 years. He was buried in a specific position, knees pulled to chest, body facing east toward the sunrise. Around the bones, the soil contained something unexpected: pollen. Not random pollen blown in by wind. Pollen from 8 specific plant species: yarrow, groundsel, grape hyacinth, joint pine. Several of them were medicinal. Someone had laid flowers on this man before covering him with earth. Someone, 60,000 years ago, stood over a grave and could not leave without doing something. That person was a Neanderthal, not a modern human, a Neanderthal. And for a moment, everything you thought you knew about the difference between us and them stops making sense. Here is what most people assume about prehistoric death. Someone dies. The group moves on. Maybe the body is left where it fell. Maybe something practical happens. Grief, in this version of the story, is a modern invention. Ritual is something that came later, with language, with civilization, with religion. Before all of that, nothing. Just death, and then silence, and then the group keeps walking. That assumption is not just wrong, it is almost perfectly backwards. The earliest confirmed intentional burial found so far is 120,000 years old. Qafzeh Cave, Israel. The bodies were covered in red ochre, a mineral pigment the color of blood. Archaeologists have found it on burial sites across 3 continents spanning hundreds of thousands of years. Red ochre meant something. The leading interpretation is renewal, the color of blood, the color of birth, the color of what comes after. Someone looked at a dead body and felt the need to return it to the color of the living. In 2023, a discovery rewrote the timeline completely. Inside Rising Star Cave in South Africa, paleoanthropologist Lee Berger announced evidence of intentional burial by Homo naledi. Homo naledi had a brain 1/3 the size of ours. The burials date to at least 300,000 years ago, before modern humans existed, before anyone had assumed beings like this were capable of anything beyond survival. The caves were deep, difficult to reach. There was no reason to bring bodies there unless the bringing itself was the point. The Shanidar Cave in the Zagros Mountains of Iraq. A Neanderthal man, researchers call him Shanidar IV, buried sometime between 60,000 and 80,000 years ago. The pollen evidence around his bones suggested flowers placed deliberately at burial: yarrow, groundsel, grape hyacinth, plants that in later human cultures would become associated with healing, with protection, with passage. For decades, this was debated. In 2020, new excavations at the same site found another Neanderthal burial. Again, flowers. Again, placed with intention. The debate is not settled, but what is settled is this. Someone kept coming back to this cave with the dead. Not once. Across generations. The cave was a place for something. Whatever word you use for that place, the Neanderthals had it. Here is what no one talks about when they talk about ancient burial. The moment before the burial, the moment right after death, before any ritual, before any decision about what to do with the body. Researchers who study grief in non-human primates have documented something that changes the question entirely. Chimpanzee mothers carry dead infants for days, sometimes weeks. They groom them. They return to check if they will wake. Something in the primate brain does not immediately accept the information that the gone are gone. Our closest living relatives grieve. They do not bury. That gap between grief and ritual, between feeling the loss and doing something with it, is the gap where humanity happened. The first burial was not a tradition. It was an experiment. Someone trying something that had never been tried, in a moment they did not know how to survive. And then the next generation watched and did the same thing, because it helped. Because putting something into the earth, into a specific place, with specific objects, gave the loss a shape. And a shape, even a terrible one, is easier to carry than nothing. In 120,000 years of burying the dead, humans have never stopped adding things to the grave. Food, tools, flowers, ochre, jewelry, weapons, things the dead cannot use. Across every culture, every continent, every era, we keep putting things in the ground that serve no practical purpose. The explanation that makes the most sense is also the simplest. We are not giving the dead what they need. We are giving ourselves something to do with our hands while the rest of us figures out how to continue. Lee Berger, who discovered the Homo naledi burials, was asked what the finding meant. He said, "The capacity for grief and ritual is not something that evolved with large brains. It is something far older than we thought, far older than us, which means the thing you feel when someone you love disappears is not a modern problem. It is the oldest experience in the human story. Every person who has ever lived has stood where you have stood, in the dark, holding something that cannot fix it, trying to find a shape for something that has no shape. The flowers in that cave in Iraq have been gone for 60,000 years, but the person who placed them was doing exactly what you would do, exactly what you